All right, you're working on the process of removing the sword. Maybe you've even done it already to where you have had a safe place with a team where you've either lost it in a ball of tears or really physically addressed your anger and rage, and you know, which usually they coincide, like you have a complete outburst. You beat for me, I was beating the punching bag, and I broke it. And then during that process, I cried and screamed and purged. So they kind of go hand in hand, the rage and the anger and release and the crying, okay? So hopefully during this process of these steps that you do that with your support group and your therapist, in your safe place. That's the whole point. But now when you have done that, and you may have to do it 40 times, you might have to have only done it once because you never did that in your life. You never released it and stood up and had a outburst. I had an 80-year-old woman tell me once she had never stood up and told her story and screamed, and then suddenly she did it and she had this complete wave lifted and she signed up for dance classes and she's 80. That is beautiful. So that said, we're addressing the rage and the anger and the sadness, and we're just right? Now comes the comforting part. We're leading into healing all those wounds, okay? So if you had a little kid, the cutest little kid you've ever seen in your life, just sweet little sweetness that was hurt, okay? How do you comfort them? Because I'm talking about you. What is the most comforting thing? Do you need your team around you? Is it really as simple as you need your blankie and, a whole bunch of comedy movies? Seriously. Do you need to go to that tree house, that you had when you were a little kid and sit in it and write a fantasy book? Whatever. How are you comforted? So, because this goes hand in hand. You want to, make sure you have a comforting, safe place. Make sure you're comforted to, during this process, release some rage and anger and sadness and depression and just you're purging. This is the purging process. So then you're because let me tell you something. If you've done it, hopefully you've done it in the past couple steps. When you do that, you're tired. Seriously. When you really just let's get in there and let's tell it and purge it, it's tiring. And when you're tired, it's kind of like when you just went through labor and birthed a baby. You're can I just have a nap? What is comforting to you during that process? Make sure you put it on your list, and you make sure, you have a plan that you have those things, so I want biscuits and gravy, whatever. I'm comforted by, I need to go look at the beach. Make sure you have in this process a plan to go to the beach. I'm going to just go sit for a day on the beach and watch the water. I'm going to hike the mountains. Whatever it is that you're most comfortable and most connected to the it of the world, make sure that it's on your list and in your plan. Okay? Just take squishy, squishy. And you are the cutest little button I've ever seen. And love yourself up because you deserve it. Comfort.